Hello and welcome to Online Seller UK podcast. My name is Prabhat, founder at Online Seller UK, and we've been doing series of Amazon-related podcasts, sourcing podcasts. So today I've got Lokesh with me, and we've got a really interesting topic. It's called Hosted Bias Program, and Lokesh will explain how that works. So, Lokesh, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you, Prabhat.
Okay,
Happy to be.
excellent. Excellent. So I think it's good for Lokesh for you to introduce yourself and what sort of projects you're involved in, the company you are involved in, and we can take the conversation from there.
So I represent a federation of business ambassadors, DBA, Federation of Buying Agents. We are the supply chain managers for overseas customers who are coming to India, looking at buying product from factories, private label, manufacturing from exporters, and pretty much it's difficult for them to manage the entire operation of buying from India while they're focusing on their sales in their own country. But a lot of money is at stake. There's a lot of risk is involved when you are ordering goods at factory. You want to make sure that there is somebody as your eyes and ears on the factories to make sure that you don't get into a loss. You don't get any bad product. You don't have any delay in the product. You don't have inflationary pricing or inconsistent pricing and a lot of other issues which are involved in your buying. You appoint a buying agent which is
Mhm.
it's your business ambassador in the country, managing one to multiple factories, making sure that you and your supply chain is completely risk free, proactively working for festivals and obstacles and then quality issues, packaging and consolidation. Pretty much everything is managed by that Indian entity, which you hire on a percentage basis as your service consultant. So that is the business which I have been doing for last 30 years. We opened an association of such sourcing consultants, which we call the Federation of Business Ambassadors. We were the thought leaders. One of my friend also, we thought that we should have something together, but we never had an association or a federation of sourcing agents, and that's how we formed it in 2018. We have been informally gathering since 2014. So we are now almost on the 10th year, officially on the 5th year. And we started inviting buyers to India at our cost. And that is called the hosted buyer program, where we host the customers if they fall into a qualified category of the product range, which we are showcasing in the hosted buyer program initiative. You can be a startup, you can be an established importer or a host or e-commerce seller. If you qualify, I'm going to tell you more about that program in this podcast.
Yeah, excellent. So you've just that was a question I was going to ask you, but you mentioned before the call about this. There's a fixed fee involved in that, and that covers the whole process of organizing the sourcing process and meetings and so on, which can be really tricky for anyone who is based in the US or UK to organize. So, yeah, talk to us, what sort of costs are involved on that, and then also the services involved on that as well, please.
So the Federation of Business Ambassadors, FBA, works on 3G principles. The first G is the growth of the buying agency business, the sourcing consultant business. How do you grow your business? How do you even start a business to serve customers? Vendor management, your employee management, what kind of contract you should have with factories, what kind of contract you should have with your buyers, pretty much everything. How do you tackle taxes? How do you raise your invoices? There could be n number of issues building your company or managing the operations because you are dealing with two different entities. One is a supplier, is a producer, and one is a buyer, which is paying for the goods. And you have to manage both of them, making sure no challenges are there. So that first G is to, at the federation, we have a lot of tools available for anybody who is a new buying agent, would like to work with us, or an established buying agent. Sometimes we need to create a lobby also that the exporter is not listening, they are not adhering to the norms. We create a pressure because a lot of our or us are also working with the same factory. We can say, okay, if you are good with bad with one person, we might have to look at you from our perspective because you can be bad to us as well. So the growth is first G. The second G is the generation of business opportunities for our members. And that is where the hosted buyer programs comes in. I will explain more on that. Third G is the grievances which you manage. So there would be a lot of, it's an international business. You also understand there could be a lot of financial issues, disputes, goods not arriving properly. There could be claims, there could be delays, there could be cancellation of orders which the factory will not accept it, or there could be certain issues between the buying agent and the buyer, or between the seller and the buyer. any of these kind of grievances, it could be an employee contract getting raw, and the company is now looking at having somebody legal. So we have a legal desk as well, where we have cargo claims, which are like transit damages to the goods managed by our lawyers in 76 plus countries, and a payment recovery from different entities across the world. We have 84 plus countries where we have legal entities signed up, and we fight our claims on that local law. So the between the first and the last G, the, the in between is a generation of business opportunity, and that is where hosted by program becomes very important. How do you generate business for your sourcing agent members?
Okay, okay. So talk to us, about qualification for sellers. Sorry, not sellers, buyers
So
in this program.
the
So
crux of
talk to us on
hosted
that.
by program, it's an ecosystem for buyers who have not explored India as a sourcing country to come to India. Using this initiative, FPA acts as a facilitator, an aggregator to make their sourcing journey a memorable one. When somebody is coming to India, especially somebody who has not even been to India before, and they are looking at building so much of business, investing so much of the time and money and effort into bringing product from India, we feel it's a big investment. It's a big bet on a country, a huge country like India. We appreciate that. And if you can make your journey, and with our help, if your journey becomes pleasure, making money, you're selling more, your business is getting successful, you're going to come back again and again. So the first trip of any seller who signs up, approximate cost of traveling from their airport back to their airport, the hotel stay in 5 stars, the B2B meetings with the sourcing agent members, the display of 50 or 60 exporters, which are curated according to your product range, which we're going to uh, finalize once you sign up. Your 3 days of sightseeing excursion, we would like to have you experience India as well. That 7 day trip, which will cost you around $5,000 to $6,000 or pounds when you're coming from UK, you only pay $999 as a seller. The entire whole cost, which is the balance, is paid by the other stakeholders under the umbrella of the federation. So you are not paying the entire cost of £6,000 or $6,000, but you're paying only at $999, and you're coming here to do business for first 3 days, and next 3 days you are just looking at sightseeing. You only have to bring your cash or credit card for shopping. Your food, your taxi, your hotel, your flights, everything is taken care by the federation, and we host you as our buyers. That is what a hosted buyer program is.
Okay, it's because it's like a hand holding someone and then taking care of that business
You
too.
are our guest. So we will be hosting you in India, right from the Delhi airport. There will be somebody who will be picking you from the meeting area, and we will make sure that you board your flight. Somebody is at the airport to drop you back.
Okay, okay, that's well, it's without me saying it, that sounds like a really, really good program for sure. So let's look at the broader perspective here. Traditionally, sourcing for various types of products has been, you know, with various other countries. We hear, you mentioned Mexico is another country that's popping up. Vietnam is another. Taiwan is another. So every country, I'm sure they have got their own unique selling point in terms of products itself and categories and so on. So talking to India about India here, so what sort of category of products do you think is best for buyers to look into India?
So that's a great question. India has its own strength. Every country, as you mentioned, has their own strength and weaknesses. The smart seller, or I would say the buyer for us, would work on the strength, would work on the strength of China to buy Chinese product, would work on the strength of Indian product, on how can I make money on selling an Indian product which has a demand, which customers am I selling to, and can I fit an Indian product? And it's a huge category. When you're talking about China or India or Vietnam, and you're talking about product, it can be a very wide variety of product into different segments. So once you have this podcast here, you will also have a link on a hosted by program page. You will see 18 different categories which we have shortlisted.
Okay.
We might expand it later on, but right now we are focusing on these 18 because those are the 18 category of products where you need a lot of efforts into managing factories. Let's say if you're coming to buy chips and electronics and TV from India, you might not need a sourcing agent. They're pretty much organized companies and their brands. They understand how to manufacture things. But when you're talking about apparel, you're talking about automotive components, floor coverings, cosmetics, fashion accessories, furniture, lighting, gift accessories, healthcare supplies, hand tools, home decor, houseware, jewelry, paper and paper stationery, rubber components, spices, textiles, toys, or games. Like these are the 18 categories we have shortlisted where you most likely will require somebody to manage your supply chain in India. And that is where we pitch our federation members that if they are capable of doing this for you, first time when you're coming, we are hosting you. Once you feel that, yes, I will require somebody in India, you will hire one of our members, and federation will always be there as an umbrella. If you face any issue with the member, you face any issue with the factory or with the product, you will always come back to the federation and say, hey, I came to you on the first trip, you hosted me, good. I'm not liking it, so we will come, you can come back to us and find an alternative as well. So that is what we have focused on. Labor intensive sector of product industry, where you have a lot of potential to make money, but you require some help.
Okay. Okay. Excellent. So you mentioned quite a lot of categories throughout. Some of the bigger categories like toys, some of the jewelry category, and rubber products and games and things like that. So they are all quite popular categories when we talk about online selling and e-commerce and so on. So if we are to, I'm trying to pick up a few categories out of 18 for you. If I am to ask you, if we say five most popular categories that you can source from India, what would you say?
So the top one would be home textiles. Right now, even our mentoring process for our own startup agencies. Today, I was on a call with a new member. He's just starting a sourcing company, and he said, "Where is the business coming to?" And I said, "Okay, the business which is flowing to India is in home textile category. If you're looking into apparel, I would say I would discourage you as a new sourcing consultant. Apparel is a very competitive market, and with Vietnam also coming into now in the next 5 years, Mexico will be having a lot of Chinese factories. It will be difficult for you to actually manage sourcing from India in a big way in terms of apparel. So the first category would be home textiles, a mixed kind of product which is mostly handloom or hand woven. We have seen the growth of factories like double the growth in 1 year. In 5 years, I've seen factories growing 5 times. That means there is a lot of business coming to them. They're investing very heavily. The second would be anything for your home decor and lifestyle, which is a mixed material product, where there is no technology can do it. It has to be mostly hand or assembling, just like we call bundling of product in Amazon or e-commerce space, that you can make more money and you can be staying out of competition when you are bundling your product. Similarly, in manufacturing, try and mix material with the metal and textiles, with metal and glass, or a glass with something else, where you require a lot of labor to manage your manufacturing process. That is where you should be pitching yourself. Third, look at macroeconomics. What is India exporting as a raw material to the biggest competitor in sourcing is China. So when you look at the categories of product as a raw material going out of India to China is cotton. So we have already covered home textiles. Second is steel. So if you're into houseware, if you're into pet wear, if you're into anything which requires stainless steel as a product, you should be looking at India for that. Our stainless steel is far cheaper. We, in fact, export the raw steel to China, and basically China produces it in 18.8 and sells it all over the world. So that could be one more category for you, like cookware, houseware, kitchen cutlery, pet wear, anything which is going into stainless steel. It could be even garden product which are made of stainless steel wire, because stainless steel is much cheaper in India as compared to China. I would say this is the three most important categories. Rubber would be one more. We have a lot of good factories who are really cheap in in terms of, I would not say cheap, economical in terms of China or any other country. Very, very competitive. And the last but not the least is the brassware product, like components, fasteners, brass parts, lamp parts, where a lot of hand tool lathe machine work is managed, and it's all done by hands. And it's dirt cheap in terms of getting the raw material from India. A lot of this product are basically made from shipwrecks, and the brass is very cheap. It's recycled brass. So the entire, and if I'm talking about UK, I have been serving UK for last 25 years. Entire lamp part industry of UK is dependent upon India for lamp components, just because the kind of technology we have, the kind of precision we have on brass parts in terms of components on lamps. Many of UK manufacturers of lamps, they have their back supplies of components coming from India for almost like 5 decades.
Okay. Okay. Excellent. So, thank you, Lokesh, for talking us through and then talking us a little bit more detail on the categories. I'm sure listeners will benefit from that. So, if somebody's to find you and talk to you in person and have some sort of communication there, where is the best place to get to you?
I am available on Telegram. I'm available on LinkedIn and WhatsApp. In fact, on the Federation, you will see my number on the FAQ also. You will see a link on connecting me to WhatsApp. And pretty much you can Google Lokesh Parashar or Federation of Business Ambassadors or Federation of Buying Agents, and you will somewhere on first page, you can get connected. And Prabhat, you're already there.